United Nations Climate Change Conference COP30 began in the Amazonian city of Belém do Pará in Brazil, with high-level representatives from almost 200 countries. The Venezuelan government sent a ship to Cuba on Monday with more than 3,000 tons of humanitarian aid for those affected by Hurricane Melissa. The World Health Organization affirms that in Palestine, at least 16,000 Gazan patients are still waiting to be evacuated to receive medical treatment abroad. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Sophie Fernandez from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The United Nations Climate Change Conference COP30 is taking place in the Amazonian city of Belém do Pará in Brazil, with high-level representatives from almost 200 countries in attendance. In this area, debates focus on how to address the climate crisis before catastrophic levels of global warming become inevitable. The main topics of the conference include the fight against greenhouse gas emissions and the transition to a low-carbon economy. During the 2 weeks of talks, issues related to climate action, forest preservation, the promotion of biofuels, and the guarantee of social justice will be addressed. In the framework of COP30 in Brazil, some of the delegates have stated their opinions on the events and the priorities for their countries. Let's see some of the testimonies.
COP30 is going well, actually. It is started well quite. And the priorities, it is including of enhancing just transition, strengthening the implementation of climate finance and adaptation efforts. Also, there is targets for the conservation of biodiversity, oceans, and the forest. It's the conference of parties, so the whole world is here, and then we are all advocating for the global climate action to address the crisis that climate change is exacerbating in our countries. As an African country, we are a very vulnerable country, so climate change is impacted or left an impact which is very, very severe, causing to the country drought, recurrent droughts and floods all the time. There's also cyclones in our country, Somalia. So it is a very important meeting to the whole world. Those are parties in UNFCCC. So we are here to be part of the global climate action. Implementation of NDCs. Doing the full effort of addressing climate change with the other countries.
In other news, the Venezuelan government sent to Cuba on Monday a ship with more than 3,000 tons of humanitarian aid for those affected by Hurricane Melissa. According to local authorities, the ship, which carries food and mattresses, is the third shipment from Venezuela to assist those affected by Hurricane Melissa in the Caribbean island. With this ship, the total amount of humanitarian aid sent to Cuba is now over 5,000 tons. To date, the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, People's Trade Treaty, has sent 2 ships and 1 plane with supplies to the Caribbean island. The shipment confirms the commitment to South-South cooperation to face adversity and strengthen the bonds of brotherhood in the region, at a time where mutual support is essential for the island's recovery. Following the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa, Alba TCP has sent 4 shipments of humanitarian aid by air and at sea and shows solidarity and support for the Cuban people. Let's take a look at the details.
The first phase of this operation began on October 30th. On that date, a plane took off from Maiquetía International Airport with a cargo of 26 tons of humanitarian aid for the Cuban people. Subsequently, on Saturday, November 8th, assistance was extended to the maritime route. The first ship departed from the port of La Guaira carrying 102 containers with over 5,000 tons of food, medicine, supplies, and toys. Furthermore, on Sunday, November 9th, the bridge through air was reinforced with a second flight from Maiquetía. This time, the aircraft transported specialized technical workers to support efforts of the island. Finally, this Monday, a second ship departed from La Guaira with over 3,000 additional tons of humanitarian aid, raising the total maritime assistance to over 8,000 tons.
In Cuba, Venezuelan authorities who recently arrived in Santiago de Cuba conducted an aerial survey, diagnosing severe damage to road infrastructure and homes following Hurricane Melissa. The fundamental purpose of this Venezuelan technical mission is to provide specialized assistance in the diagnosis and rehabilitation of road and bridge infrastructures in the areas most affected by the weather phenomenon. Among the experts who make up the brigade are bridge specialists, civil engineers, road maintenance experts, road work technicians, and communications route tech specialists. This gesture of solidarity reaffirms the strategic and fraternal nature of relations between Cuba and Venezuela, based on mutual cooperation and the exchange of knowledge. Moving now to the United States, the National Weather Service issued a winter weather advisory due to a drop in temperatures caused by the impact of snowstorms. The polar cold is advancing from the northern plains, where temperatures are dropping considerably, and a decrease is expected in much of the southern part of the country. The winter storm warning issued by the Meteorological Agency will remain in effect until Monday night in northern Illinois, an area where snow accumulations of up to 45 centimeters and wind gusts of up to 48 kilometers per hour are forecast. Authorities also warn that travel conditions will be extremely dangerous due to poor visibility and slippery roads. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Venezuela, the Bolivarian government celebrates the people's victory over cognitive and economic warfare. On Monday, the president, Nicolás Maduro, led the meeting with the National Directorate of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, PSUV, and the JPSUV in San Bernardino, Caracas, where he emphasized a massive participation of the Venezuelan people in cultural and sporting events, describing it as a demonstration of maximum social happiness and a victory against cognitive and economic warfare. During the event, the president highlighted that more than 3 million people participated in the 145,465 assemblies to form the CBI, Bolivarian-based integral committees, emphasizing the participatory and protagonistic democracy that is present throughout Venezuela. Venezuela productive engine remains active, showing and reaping the future. An example of this is El Tigre peanut processing plant. Our correspondent Andrea Romero visited these facilities to show us the testimony of national commitment and the capacity to transform the harvest into a high-quality product.
The peanut's journey towards quality begins with a rigorous pre-cleaning that separates the pure seed from everything that the soil brought with it.
The pre-cleaning process removes the product. The machines remove the stems and what they call empty peanuts. It is a peanut that looks whole, but when you open it, It doesn't have any material inside.
Afterward, each bean is subjected to strict moisture control, a fundamental step to guarantee the flavor and preservation of the peanuts, as this can vary due to climate factors.
Once the material arrives directly from the field, a moisture test is performed in the laboratory. There we will determine if it will proceed to the second step, which should be the drying area. Depending on its moisture content, it needs to be monitored and controlled to meet quality standards.
Here, technology and the human touch converge. While machinery separates the beans, the sorters ensure that only the perfect peanuts reach the tables of Venezuelans.
When the material comes from the cleaning machine, it enters here. It enters the hopper over there. It goes down towards the concaves. That's where it is scaled. It goes through the gravity table. It goes up this elevator towards the sorting hopper, where the women do the work.
Nosotros seleccionamos el maní que está más feo, más deteriorado, pues.
We select the peanuts that are the ugliest, the most deteriorated, and the sorter is the one in charge of selecting the jumbo, medium, and split peanuts. And we here, and on the tables select the peanuts that are dirty, the sticks and the stones.
The plant has experienced exponential growth thanks to the producers.
Over the past 3 years, we've gone from little over 250 tons to 7,000 tons last year. So it's been quite a challenge, a real undertaking, and a joint commitment with the producers in the area, always putting these facilities at their service and giving them our best effort to achieve their goal.
With 6 small and medium-sized producers and more than 300 jobs, mobilizing the economy of the eastern region of Venezuela.
Moving on to Colombia, the government apologized to the families and survivors of the political genocide of Unión Patriótica during a commemoration event. Following the ruling of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the Colombian state, led by President Gustavo Petro, honored the memory of thousands of victims who were murdered by the oligarchy and narco-traffickers for almost 2 decades. During the event, victims and survivors of the massacre stated that the reason for the persecution of Unión Patriótica was their diversity of thoughts. The authority indicates that the act of memory and truth does not repair the damage caused by paramilitarism and the elites, but it is the first step towards compensation and recognition of their inaction. We have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, but we'll be right back with more from the South. Don't go away. Welcome back. Egypt began Monday the first phase of parliamentary elections, a process that will take place over 2 days in 14 out of the country's 27 governorates. The event is bringing together a total of 35 million voters to elect approximately 586 seats that will make up for the new House of Representatives of the North African country. The polls had opened for expatriates on November 7th and 8th, who exercised the rights to vote in embassies and consulates in 117 countries. The second phase of the process, convening the remaining 13 governorates, is scheduled for November 21st and 22nd for Egyptians living abroad, and on the 24th and 25th for those living in the country. In other news, at least 8 people died on Monday after a car bomb exploded near Red Fort in New Delhi, the capital of India. The blast left about 19 people injured and caused 6 cars and 3 motorcycle taxis to catch on fire. The incident occurred at around 7 p.m. local time, when an explosion occurred inside a vehicle that was stopped at a red traffic light near the metro station in one of the busiest areas of the city. Indian Home Minister Amit Shah said it is very difficult to determine the cause of the incident and that all hypotheses remain open. In a post on his X account, Indian of the victims showed them that he was monitoring the situation together with other members of the government. Moving on to Russia, the Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said on Monday that the British news network BBC is producing large-scale falsehoods, referring to the scandal over the controversial editing of a speech by US President Donald Trump. Zakharova reports that the BBC and other media outlets manufacture fake news on an industrial scale. Any topic can be a reason to spread false information, and editing becomes the main driving force behind pseudo-journalism. BBC Director General Tim David and News Director Deborah Turnes resigned from their position last Tuesday after it was revealed that the media outlet edited and manipulated a speech by Donald Trump, with the aim of reinforcing his role as the initiator of violence in the 2021 Capitol riot. In other news, the World Health Organization confirmed that in Palestine, at least 16,000 Gazan patients are still waiting to be evacuated to receive medical treatment abroad. Through a communique, WHO highlighted the need for other countries to take in Gazan patients and injured after the Palestinian health system collapsed as a result of the Israeli blockade and the shortage of supplies. The organization explained that thousands of wounded people require urgent surgeries that cannot be performed at the enclave, pointing out that the priority is to make the transference to hospitals easier. At the end, the WHO indicated that it sent medical supplies and requested to the Israeli occupation the immediate reactivation of all border crossings. Meanwhile, in Palestine, the death toll from Israeli aggression against the Gaza Strip exceeds 69,179, while the number of injured totals more than 170,693, according to data from the Ministry of Health. Said report states that many of the victims remain under the rubble due to Israel's blockade of ambulances and rescue teams. As well, details the numbers of deaths since the ceasefire on October 11th, reaching 242 deaths. In this regard, the Ministry of Health revealed that 15 bodies of martyrs were released by the Israeli occupation, bringing the total number of bodies received to 315. In Palestine, a displaced Gazan artist turns rubble into work of art that expresses resistance of the Palestinian people. Despite the destruction of his home due to the Israeli siege, the sculptor Khaled Hussein continues to create art among the rubble. With more than 26 years of experience, his Palestinian artist began collecting clay from the ruins of destroyed houses to form sad and tired faces. Sometimes he destroys some of his sculptures with his own hands, symbolizing human fragility and war. In other news, China celebrates its cultural wealth with the inauguration of the International Media Forum. The opening exhibition included the presentation of the Qing Opera, a tradition of great value in the nation, and was performed by young people with a soloist and a choir of more than 40 children. The forum brought together more than 300 specialists from 40 invited countries. Initiating a dialogue on global cooperation from his historical roots, its identity, and the potential of the voices of the South. Meanwhile, in Mexico, the third Magic of Color carpet exhibition was held. With 40 monumental rocks made of sand walls, sand, and loss of color, this exhibition was held in the town of San Pedro Jalostog in Ecatepec. Striking designs are a showcase of the artist's feelings and their identity as Mexicans. Butterflies, Catrinas, and flowers are some of the motifs that decorate the streets of the city. The celebration included music and workshops so that people could learn how to make their own rocks. A project that keeps the nation's traditional knowledge alive and pays tribute to the artisans who have been preserving this art for over 4 decades. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Sophie Fernandez. Thank you for watching.